Hello everyone, my name is Zard and welcome back to another video, and today I'll be talking about episode 7 of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. So it's been a few days since I saw the episode. I've seen it twice now, and I usually record my thoughts videos for these episodes right after I've seen them, but I had a really busy week last week, so I wasn't able to see the Rings of Power until later the Friday instead of like right when it starts, which I for no, today's Wednesday when I'm recording this. Friday, the final episode. I'm really excited to see that. So I enjoyed this episode. I didn't enjoy it as much as the episode before it. I thought that was probably the best episode of the show so far, but this episode did have one thing that the last episode did not, and it is my favorite thing in this show, and that's just Durin. He's my favorite character in the entire show, and I really enjoyed him here. We got more of his father as well, and Disa as well. So really, all of the main characters that we've seen in Khazad-dûm were in that episode, and Elrond as well. I really like the two of them. It's that friendship's my favorite part of this entire show. And then, of course, the aftermath of Mordor forming, which we saw at the end of the episode, I believe, when you see the Balrog, and then it switches to the Southlands, and then you see the text that says the Southlands, and it switches to Mordor, which was cool. That was the only part for Dar this episode, a bit of orcs throughout it, but not too much. And Isildur was, of course, trapped by the building, which I'm guessing next episode it'll be found by Adar. And the Númenóreans are heading back to Númenor. And from the last episode, whether, I don't know if it's another dream sequence, but from the preview for the next episode, water floods some sort of part of the kingdom of Númenor, like it bursts out through the side of it. So, I really don't think the fall of Númenor would happen in an episode. Like, I feel like it's possible that it happens next season, and the season really leads up to it, and then by the final episode of next season, we see the fall of Númenor. I don't see how you can do it next episode, so I'm assuming that's probably just another of Marielle's dreams. And talking about Marielle, she's blind now, so that's interesting. Now, I don't know if Marielle's blindness will play into any part of Pharazôn taking over. I'm assuming it's really with the faithful and the true Númenóreans and all that, and that will lead into Pharazôn's rise, and then, of course, the fall of Númenor. At least I'm assuming that's how it would go. That would make sense, of course. Like, you introduced Pharazôn, he's obviously going to end up being our Pharazôn at some point in this series. Theo and Galadriel was an interesting pairing. I think I enjoyed that. Halbrand is going back to Lindon, I believe. I'm assuming that's where Galadriel as well as Halbrand are going. And I don't think it was the preview for the next episode, but at New York Comic Con they released a final trailer which consisted of a bit of new footage and then mostly footage from the last 7 episodes. And I believe in that footage there was a scene between Galadriel and Elrond that wasn't in the first episode, so I'm assuming that those two will meet again. And then the other part, we have the Harfoots in this episode, so by the end of the episode, or throughout the episode, they got to the Grove, then the Grove was destroyed by the ash of Mount Doom and Mordor, and then they asked the stranger to fix it. They believe he messed it up. He walked off, and then in the morning it's all fruitful and the trees are full of apples. It seemed like just apples, and they were just hoarding those apples until those three in the white cloaks who have some sort of magic. I have no clue who they are, uh, really at all. Um, but they destroyed it, destroying all of their stuff, all the food and all of that. And by the end, Nori, Poppy, Nori's mother, Eleanor? No, Eleanor's Nori. I cannot remember exactly her name. And then Sadek, I believe, who I've I've grown to quite like him. There's something about him that I really like. He sort of reminds me of the Hobbit from right at the start of Lord of the Rings, really. He's annoyed when he sees Gandalf coming in, and then he fires off the fireworks, and then he breaks a little smile, and then his wife comes up to him, and he does the face again. He sort of reminded me of him, which I like him quite a bit in the Lord of the Rings, and he just reminded me of that. So I enjoyed this episode. It seemed like I feel like in the last few episodes, all the main characters have really lost something. Of course, Elendil with Isildur, who obviously is not dead. He plays a pretty large role in Lord of the Rings, so he's not dead, of course. Just like Celeborn is not dead, or at least it would be weird. It, they're going to meet up again, I would say, by the end of the series or end of a certain season. He's not dead, of course. And then and other characters losing things, of course, Marielle losing her sight. I feel like just I would say Durin sort of lost his title. Elrond won't be able to get the Mithril at this moment. So a lot of characters are losing something, and I don't know if they'll get it back by the end of this season, or until the Battle of the Last Alliance, maybe. It might take that long until they actually get something back. They might just continue to lose stuff until some other battle. I don't know. But I enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I'm excited to see the final episode. I'm assuming that this final episode will have all the characters in it, which I'm not 100% sure if we've had before. I feel like the first episode, I believe, sort of had it. And then sort of less so. It was really just the introduction, and then they sort of split off, and it was like you'd have your Númenórean Galadriel Hellbrand story, and then in one episode, and then the next episode you'd have the Harfoots and the Durin and Elrond and Khazad-dûm, and that sort of just went through the whole season, and I'm assuming that this last episode will sort of combine those stories, and I'm assuming this is going to be a bit longer, probably. Each episode's been over an hour, so I'm thinking hour 30 minutes maybe for this last episode. But I'm excited to see what happens in this episode. Talking about Lego for this episode, I don't think necessarily you need to make it off this show, but making a Mordor set I think is huge. Of course, we got the Black Gate in from the line previously, but I think we need a lot more than that. I'd love to get some orcs in there. Of course, whether or not you're basing it off the series or in the movies, it would make more sense. I'm assuming that from the sets we're getting this year, they're really going to focus on Lord of the Rings, less so of The Hobbit, and less so of this Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. So getting orcs, Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, all of those characters in a Mordor set, I think is the number one thing. Just watching this episode, Mordor playing a decently large role in it, that is one thing that I think we need from Lego Lord of the Rings, especially since it seems like it's returning. And I wouldn't be shocked if we got some play sets after the Brickheads. Probably not in 2023, but in 2024, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a wave 4 or 5 sets. I think it'd be really cool, and I'm really excited to see what we could get. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.